On the 29th of July, the Prime Minister hurried to dinner with journalists from the Sunday Times. His purpose was to brief them that there could be no change in policy, but he went much further.
We argued strongly that he had to devalue. He had to get the pound down to a more competitive level, which would help our exporters, and allow him to cut interest rates at the same time. And he just wouldn't do it. He was as stubborn as he could be. He thumped the table at one stage and said, "Andrew, there is no alternative."
I talked about my long-term objectives for sterling. I talked about my loathing of inflation. And I made the point that providing we could rip inflation out of the system, there was no reason, if we followed the right policies, there was no intrinsic reason why sterling shouldn't become stronger than the Deutschmark.
The conversation had been quite acrimonious, but he left in good terms. I shook hands with him and saw him out. And then I bounded back upstairs again and got into I said, "Did he say what I think he said?" And they said, "Yep, he said that he wants sterling to take over as the benchmark currency of Europe." So I said, "Well, I think he's nuts, but it gives us a story for Sunday."
John Major's Chancellor, Norman Lamont, was horrified when he saw the newspaper report.
Frankly, I thought it was an absurd thing to say when the Deutschmark was all the time pushing up, the pound was pushing down. I thought he was living in cloud cuckoo land, and I was most upset that he had said this, because it certainly didn't correspond to what I believed was realistic, and I thought it damaged the government's credibility because it was such a stupid thing to say.